Hello, I am Dan Stapleton,
And I am TJ Hafer.
and right here we have Craft the World, which you reviewed. This is a PC game.
I did. Craft the World is it's kind of a Terraria-style side-scrolling base builder game with dwarves.
Yeah, and it kind of strikes me as like Dungeon Keeper or Dwarf Fortress meets Terraria, right?
Right. That's a pretty good way of explaining it. I'm equipping my dwarves here with some better crafting gear because they don't really start out with much. Yeah, you kind of just have to build up a base, feed your dwarves, fight off monsters. Eventually you can build crafting stations and things like that. This is my base right here. It's got this hatch because for some reason you don't start out with doors, so you're kind of forced to build down, and this totem pole basically defines the borders of it. They don't have any borders right now.
So you've got these dwarves. You're not controlling them directly. You're giving them orders. They go around and do stuff.
Right. You can take direct control of a dwarf and have him go do specific tasks, but most of the time you just mark stuff for harvest, or you'll mark an enemy for to be attacked. You got this shop over here I can buy a few things at.
So one of the first things you praised in your review is the graphics.
Yeah, I really do. I like the art style. Like all the dwarves, you can see like this guy has like kind of a mohawk. They all sort of have a little bit of a different, personality, and it's sort of cartoonish, but the enemies look cool. The environments look cool. There's like a snow area and a desert area too that you can play in, and the interface is not necessarily the most functional that I've ever used, but it's got nice looking icons and things like that.
So yeah, it looks nice, but you point out in the review that the interface it's not very friendly for for a game with crafting in the name. You would think they would have gotten crafting kind of right.
Right. Like, see, I have this schematic here for a bed of leaves, which is the sort of cheapest bed you can build. I have to actually individually click and drag every instance of every resource onto this grid. I can't pick up a stack of wood and go click, click, click like I would in Minecraft, and you can't. There's not a button to auto-complete the schematic. Every time you want to build something, you have to do that.
Yeah, which is kind of what were they thinking?
Yeah, it's really probably the most annoying part of the game.
Because that's something you're doing constantly.
Right. I mean, it's in the title, Craft the World, and crafting is just an annoying chore. I mean, I can't really think of any gameplay reason why you wouldn't just be able to click on the schematic and then click a button right here and have it build it. I mean, right. I don't see what that adds to the game, that I'm taking time to actually drag all the resources into this grid.
I mean, the good news is that's something that hopefully they could patch and fix
right.
soon.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely room for improvement. I mean, one of the other things I talked about in the review is the content is not as it's not up to par with like a Terraria or even like the early days of Minecraft. The world only goes down about that far, even though it looks like it's endlessly scrolling. And down at the lower levels, you'll find some harder enemies. You'll find some different ore, like you can unlock mithril and make better armor for your dwarves and stuff. But there wasn't really that wow moment of discovering a secret boss or a hidden realm, or even in Dwarf Fortress where you eventually dig to the point that you have demons invading. I don't know if just because of those other games I was expecting something like that, but it didn't really wow me with the end game. All you really are doing is working towards automating your resource acquisition and production of items with crafting stations, and it sort of becomes a tower defense game where you set up defenses so at night when monsters spawn, which if I speed up time we might get to see that, you'll be better protected. And there's a campaign mode where you'll go through the tech tree, which actually I liked because it requires you to actually craft stuff to get to the next tier. It's not just accumulating science points from a science room.
Yeah, you're comparing it to the Elder Scrolls leveling system.
Right, yeah.
You get better at stuff by doing that thing.
Right, which I liked. And eventually you can craft an exit portal that will take you to, I think the second one's a snow world and the third one's a desert world. But those worlds, other than having slightly different enemies and different resources, they don't really work that much differently from any other level, so it's kind of like an RTS game where like you move on to the next level and have to rebuild your base, but it's the exact same objectives and almost the exact same enemies.
And so building a base in snow is no different from building a base in a desert.
No, it's not like you have to deal with like the cold or dehydration or anything like that. So
that's kind of disappointing. A little bit unambitious, as I think you.
Unambitious. Because I wanted to work in a beard pun, which I am often want to do. So I'll set up some beds here, because that's the only way you can regain health after battle, is to have your dwarves sleep in a bed.
Eventually you get up to having like a dozen or 2 dozen dwarves.
Yeah, I think the highest I got, I had like 13 or 14 dwarves going at once, and I think I can't remember what the exact population cap is, but it's upper teens, low 20s, something like that. So you can have quite a lot going on in your base. It's just I don't feel like you have enough to work towards ultimately at the end of the day. As night falls, I'm gonna send my guys to safety here. So.
And hopefully some goblins will show up, or or whatever.
Yeah, there's usually zombies or something will spawn. You can actually scroll to the edge of the map, regardless of whether you have vision to it.
Yeah, the map doesn't seem nearly as big as a Terraria map either.
No, the the largest map size is not that much bigger than this one, and the totems also limit. I think they only work out to about a 20 by 20 area, so you need to keep building totems if you want to keep expanding your base, which I also felt was a little bit restrictive in terms of what I could do architecturally with it. So
it didn't give you, like, can you build above ground as well?
You can build in any direction. If you want to have an above ground dwarf empire, that's fine. I think the fact that the hatch unlocks before the sideways door kind of encourages you to go underground, but yeah, here's some zombies here. Let's see if I can actually have the speed set so high that I might not be able to target them effectively. I'll give them permission to go out and fight, because they're fairly well equipped. They don't really have armor yet, but
can they be killed off? And
yeah, your dwarves can be killed, but it's more an issue of attrition. Like, they're not likely to die in one battle, but if you go through like several battles without having proper beds and proper food, eventually it'll wear down their health. Even just having clubs and no armor, you can see like I can fairly easily defeat even the bigger zombie. So
yeah, really is like that last Hobbit movie.
Yeah, exactly. 2 dwarves versus any number of orcs. As long as the dwarves are named characters, they'll prevail eventually.
But anyway, so
yeah.
What score are you giving this, TJ?
I am giving it a 6.2. It's okay. I mean, I didn't feel like it was a pain to play. I just felt like it didn't really give me a lot to strive toward, and I was a little bit disappointed, both literally with the depth of the world and also with the depth of the gameplay. Perhaps with the exception of the tech tree, which is pretty extensive and is a fun progression mechanic, but you're kind of just getting through it for its own sake.
It gives progression is good, but if you don't have anything to progress to, what's the point?
Right.
So
yeah.
All right, well, thank you for coming by and showing it off, TJ. It's
yeah, for sure.
I mean, it feels like something that build on it, and it could be better.
Yeah, I could definitely see this becoming a much more in-depth and exciting game with future content updates.
All right. Well, for more on Craft the World and all kinds of crafting things, stick with IGN.